The following day, we see Haruto playing on his handheld console while his sister is watching anime. It appears that he has won updates for a game. However, he suddenly remembers that he needs to find an assistant, a servant who will accompany him to school. His sister Charlotte asks him about it, and Haruto dismisses it as nothing important, suggesting they go for a walk instead. He almost lets slip that he told everyone about the assistant, but he manages to hold back. The positive side is that he still has 3 months, but the challenge is that he hasn't found a suitable candidate yet. Abruptly, he hears a strange noise coming from the forest. He follows a path that takes him to a village he remembers. He explains that this village is the home of skeletons. One of them notices him, and they all welcome him, collectively referring to themselves as the Skeleton Masters. They remind him that it's been 5 years since he defeated the summoner who brought them to this world. They don't understand why, but they started following him after that event. He shows them the hidden place where they've been living. Johnny, a skeleton, who was once their captain, is now leading the Skeleton Legion. Johnny asks if Haruto has a request, and Haruto seizes the opportunity to ask why there are other monsters present in the village. Johnny explains that these are wandering monsters, creatures without a home, brought from other lands by misplay. They all obey her. These creatures, referred to as furrows, don't need to worry about finding a home. Haruto begins to think that the situation might be getting out of control, as there are more monsters than before. However, as long as they don't cause trouble, everything is manageable. While showing Haruto around, Johnny invites him to explore other parts of the village. He explains that various areas are dedicated to cultivating agricultural products for consumption. Haruto is impressed by their efforts and wonders if the food is for other monsters, as skeletons don't eat right. Johnny clarifies that thanks to these harvests, they can provide for more monsters. He promises to show Haruto more aspects of the village. During this interaction, Haruto realizes that Johnny is a kind and sincere individual, beloved by all, and he knows his place in the community. Additionally, he has a pleasant voice. He would be the ideal servant. However, there's a small issue: he talks too much. He never stops for a second. It's a real shame. Johnny asks if he's too serious or if he did something wrong. Haruto reassures him that he's not too serious and that he's admiring him for his good work. Johnny is genuinely surprised by this compliment and finds it charming. He expresses his commitment to working hard to please Haruto and receive more praise. Haruto informs Johnny that there are more areas to visit around there, but he needs to leave for now and suggests meeting up again another time. He sits by a river, thinking it's a good spot to be alone and relax. Little did he know that it would become a gathering place for monsters. Suddenly, a golem appears by his side, the same one summoned by the summoner. Haruto is amazed to see it here. It's a giant golem and it gifts him a flower. Haruto asks if the flower is for him, and the golem confirms it with a yes. The golem explains it's a gift because the flower is beautiful. Haruto realizes that the golem is expressing its gratitude through its voice. Surprisingly, the golem is quite calm and its presence doesn't bother Haruto. He starts to think that maybe this golem could be a good companion, similar to his servant, although its size is a concern. Haruto inquires if the golem plans to stay in the village, and the golem replies that it does like the village, but it likes Haruto even more. Haruto understands that the golem means it likes him as its master. This realization takes Haruto by surprise, as he wasn't expecting the golem's affection. Leaving him speechless after this conversation, he continues exploring the forest. Finding a suitable assistant has become quite challenging for him. In fact, he believes that if he wants to find a good one, it might be better not to rush. When he returns home, Flay asks him about the assistant he mentioned earlier. She wonders how he suddenly became so intuitive. He remembers that he doesn't want an assistant because they always get him into trouble. He replies to her saying, "You don't serve me," which leaves her crying on the ground. On another occasion, Charlotte suggests a name for his Black Knight costume. She proposes Schwarzer Ritter, which means Black Knight in German. She admits she got the idea from the internet. According to her research, it's related to destruction and creation, almost like a god. She thinks it suits her brother. She apologizes for involving him in this and mentions their noble lineage. He remains silent. Later, we see Johnny welcoming the girls. He explains that all the monsters belonging to Master Haruto are gathered here. Flay and Charlotte find this quite honorable. They suggest naming the place the Enchanted Garden, and Johnny agrees that it's a fitting choice. During a snowstorm, a group of adventurers confronts an ice dragon. Their leader notes that they've finally managed to control it. This dragon is a massive hybrid, and defeating it promises a substantial reward. However, the heavy snow hampers their visibility. Exploiting the situation, the dragon manages to fly away. Leo, the leader, questions why they're hesitating. If they don't take action, the dragon will escape. Yet, due to the blizzard, the dragon loses control and crashes into a mountain, severely wounded. Leo reported the incident to Gold. Apparently, a 50-meter ice dragon flew in from the Empire but crashed before crossing the country's border. Haruto concludes that it didn't reach their territory, so it's not their concern. His father agrees but raises the possibility that the dragon might recover and go on a rampage, endangering many lives. Moreover, demons inhabit the area. Consequently, he tasks Haruto with investigating. Flay responds with reluctance, indicating she only follows her master's orders. However, Haruto insists on it. Flay becomes frustrated and Haruto questions her about any additional reasons she might have for refusing. Flay elaborates that considering the dragon's immense size, it likely isn't young and may be several hundred years old. In the past, dragons remained hidden within mountains as humans and demons battled. She sees no reason to protect a cowardly dragon like this. Haruto realizes that there might be a personal issue at play. Flay asks for more time to consider the task. Haruto's father grants her the time but emphasizes the need to act relatively quickly. As Flay departs, she encounters Charlotte, who reveals she overheard the discussion about her behavior. Charlotte apologizes briefly and then asks Flay if she could save the dragon. Charlotte believes the dragon must be quite sad. Flay responds that she didn't intend for things to unfold this way. Haruto takes Flay's shoulder and tells her that her desires are also his desires. She's willing to accept the request, mentioning that if they both ask for it, she will agree. She clarifies that she didn't mean to go as far as completely getting rid of those adventurers. Upon reaching the mountainous area, Haruto uses his powers to locate the dragon. He's quite taken aback by its size, even though it appears somewhat weakened. Flay warns him that the group of adventurers is heading towards the dragon, so they need to act quickly. They'll have to hurry before the adventurers get there. Eventually, the adventurers meet the dragon. They prepare to attack, aiming to finish it off swiftly. However, just before they can do so, Haruto, disguised as the Black Knight, steps in. He kicks one of the adventurers and introduces himself as the Black Knight. He deploys his magical cubes to heal the dragon. The adventurers are bewildered and ask who they are. Haruto emerges seemingly out of nowhere. Flay, addressing the adventurers as scoundrels, questions their audacity to challenge the might of a dragon. She threatens that they will all be incinerated. In the aftermath, the adventurers are left injured. Haruto's Black Knight persona removes his helmet. Appearing satisfied, the ice dragon awakens and expresses gratitude to Haruto. He explains that he stands for justice and introduces himself as the Black Knight. The dragon approaches and uses its icy breath to freeze Haruto. Asking what's wrong, Flay tells the dragon not to be so rude to her master. Haruto responds by freeing himself, explaining that Flay should relax and not worry. It's probably on edge due to the recent attack by the adventurers. Haruto reassures the dragon that saving it wasn't a big deal. However, the dragon's response is somewhat aggressive, hinting that it won't be healed if attacked again. Haruto realizes that the Ice Dragon King is actually a female dragon. In his mind, he hears her voice similar to his communication with Flay. He realizes that he can communicate in a similar way. He asks her who she is, but she doesn't answer and directs the question to Flay instead. Haruto asks Flay if the dragon is truly a demon and why she's in demon form. Flay answers that being in a demon form suits her better than a human form. Haruto agrees to share everything if she asks nicely. Flay continues talking, prompting Haruto to remark that she's quite talkative. Flay comments that this is all for now. Naruto finds the dragon impressive. The dragon acknowledges that she didn't expect Haruto to be the reincarnation of the Demon King. It took her by surprise. She apologizes for not helping in the battle earlier, explaining that she doesn't enjoy fighting. Haruto understands and acknowledges the diversity among demons. He then inquires where she was before the adventurers attacked her. She reveals that she had been hiding in the mountains, leading a peaceful life for around 300 years. Haruto is astonished by the long time frame and excitedly encourages her to share more. She begins to recount the details. The dragon explains that initially, she stayed hidden in the depths of caves, rarely venturing out. One day, an adventurer who had taken shelter dropped a book. She read it multiple times and developed an interest in reading. Eventually, she decided to venture out of the cave and explore a nearby city. She transformed into her human form to hide, rushing to the nearest library. Upon seeing so many books together, she was greatly impressed. From then on, she often transformed into a human, visited the city, and returned to her cave with new books. She repeated this cycle multiple times. Meanwhile, she continued to acquire knowledge. She lived a content and happy life for a long time. However, one day she was discovered by the adventurers. They attacked her and burned all the books she had collected. Left with no choice, she had to escape. This is why she's here now. Flay starts crying upon hearing her sad story of burned books and escape. She sympathizes and agrees to accept her as part of the group. She welcomes her to the demon garden. Haruto asks where she got that name. Flay explains that it was his little sister's idea. Nevertheless, they are there to protect her. She expresses her desire to join them, and Haruto's words make her very happy. After having gained so much knowledge over the years, it's possible that she now possesses her own feelings. She is grateful for being saved and pledges to recognize Haruto as her master. She's a blizzard dragon and is ready to give her life for him. Haruto wonders about the dragon and quickly covers her, using his powers to conjure some clothes for her. He anticipated this, having already learned it from Flay. She asks where the dress came from, and Haruto reassures her, saying he'll explain it bit by bit. Introducing himself, he reveals that without his mask, his name is Haruto. He explains that he is the son of a count who controls the border not too far from there. Haruto inquires about her name, and she admits she doesn't have a designated one. However, she hopes he can give her one. Eventually, she chooses the name Lisa, and she repeats it to herself to see if she likes it. She's quite fond of the name. Flay then asks Haruto to explain a couple of things. She emphasizes that she was the first, and she is the second. She assumes she understands the implications of that. Lisa responds affirmatively. Haruto takes off into the air, instructing her to follow him. Lisa spreads her wings and uses them to fly. She's surprised to find that she can communicate in her dragon form as well. As they fly ahead, Flay, who is still angry, watches them from the ground and starts chasing after them. Lisa and Haruto continue their journey. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more anime videos.